over time, I realized that letting go has a lot less to do with forgetting your desire and has much more to do with releasing the desperation, the emotional dependency on the outcome, and also the old identity connected to the reality that you no longer want. In fact, in Neville Goddard's lecture, The Art of Dying, he speaks specifically about this one thing. In The Art of Dying, Neville Goddard says, "I do not wait for signs to appear. It is when I am most aware of my restrictions and feel the pressures, that is when I must learn to die. I must learn to let go of what my senses dictate and, quote, go mad, and yield to what is only a dream, but sustaining it and living in it. I die to what was physically real as I gradually lift up what was only a dream." I love this lecture, The Art of Dying, so much because it perfectly explains how to let go and what letting go means. So just to translate this into modern day language, he's basically saying that he doesn't wait for his 3D reality to change. He doesn't wait for the signs to appear. Instead, when he starts feeling restrictions, when he becomes aware of restrictions, so when he starts seeing things in his 3D that does not reflect his desire, that is when he must learn to, quote, die. And by dying, of course, he doesn't mean actually dying. He means to let go of what his senses dictate, which is what he says. So letting go of, the 3D, letting go of any limitations that he's seeing in his physical reality, and go mad, which in today's language would be a little delusional, and yield to what is only a dream. So ignoring the 3D, ignoring what isn't working, and going back within. And if you want more tips on how to persist, even when your 3D is showing the opposite, definitely let me know and I'll just create a whole new video on that. But that's basically what he's saying. Letting go of the 3D reality, letting go of what you're seeing in your physical world, because it is only a projection of your previous thoughts of the old man, and instead lifting up what the dream is until that becomes the reality. So people hear things like, you need to detach, or you need to let go, you need to stop wanting it so badly. Or we see success stories all the time where people are like, yeah, I finally gave up, I no longer cared, and then that's when it happened. But that advice can be very confusing very, very quickly because we're human. So of course, you're going to think about the things that you desire. Of course, you are going to care. If you want love or money or success or some new opportunity, you're probably not just going to become an emotional zombie towards it overnight. I don't believe that that is the goal in manifesting, because if simply wanting something blocks a manifestation, nobody would ever manifest anything. And if you watch my first video, you would know that we are always manifesting. So the issue is not the desire itself. The issue is the emotional energy and the identity surrounding that desire. So when people say that they are too attached, what they really mean is they are obsessing, they are constantly looking for external validation, they are emotionally spiraling, they're placing their desire on a pedestal, and that's where the resistance starts to build. Not because they want something or desire something, but because they made the desire emotionally bigger than themselves, while still holding on to the assumptions and habits and reactions and stories of the old man who does not have what they desire. So that creates a lot of separation. So what does letting go actually mean? I think that letting go is really about releasing your attachment to the old state. So that means the old emotional reactions, the old assumptions, the old identity, the old story that you've been telling yourself. Because usually when people are suffering in manifestation, they are still emotionally identifying with the version of themselves that does not have their desire. They're still reacting like the old man. And as Neville said, you have to die to that state. Of course, again, not physically, but psychologically and emotionally. You stop continuously feeding the old identity with your attention. You stop reacting to your 3D because you know that this is just a projection from the old man. When you're monitoring the 3D, it usually reinforces that you don't have it. And as Neville put it, you are letting go of what your senses dictate, which is the 3D. So if you want to manifest love, you have to let go of any beliefs, any habits, any reactions and assumptions of someone who believes they do not have love. You no longer spend Friday nights feeling abandoned or sulking because you don't have someone to spend it with or someone special next to you. You are cozied up on your couch or out with friends without feeling like you are emotionally missing anything, because you know that you are already chosen. You know that you already feel loved. You already feel whole. You are acting as if it is already true before it physically appears. Or even if you want to manifest money, you have to stop consciously reacting like someone trapped in scarcity. You can't constantly spiral over your bank account or panic with every expense, because you know that if you were a millionaire, then you wouldn't, like some bills, they would not matter to you. And if it does matter to you, then that's the old man reacting. The new man, the new you, already has everything worked out, and there is no reason to stress or worry. So I honestly think that that was a huge shift for me, because I realized that letting go did not mean forgetting my desires. It meant releasing the panic around them, releasing the pressure, the doubts, the questioning, the obsessing, and most importantly, releasing the attachment and identification with the version of me connected to that old reality. And once that urgency relaxed, manifestation actually started feeling a lot more easier. So then why do people manifest things after giving up? I'm sure, like I've said before, that you've heard the stories where people say that, the second they stop caring, the thing happened, it manifested. And with this, manifestation doesn't suddenly happen because the universe or God is, I'm so sorry. Manifestation doesn't happen just because the universe rewards indifference. In those situations where they let go or stop caring, what they really do is they stop spiraling, they stop forcing it, they stop obsessing, they stop checking the 3D, because those things, like the fear, the obsession, it comes from this idea that you will not have what you want, or that you don't currently have what you want. So when you remove that, you become the person that lacks nothing. They're in a space where, for the first time, emotionally, they are no longer identifying with the version of them that's like, I don't have this thing. Where is it? I'm obsessed over it. I need to have it. And releasing that old story is what opens things up. So now it gives space for whatever their desire is to manifest. So energetically, emotionally, and psychologically, they start stepping into the new man. So if there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it is that you do not need to stop caring in order to manifest. You do not need to force yourself into emotional numbness. You do not need to pretend that you do not want your desire. The real shift is in learning how to desire something without emotionally collapsing every time you notice something contrary in the 3D, or anytime you don't immediately see movement. And at the same time, learning how to stop identifying with the version of yourself connected to that old reality that doesn't have what you desire. Because letting go is not forgetting about your desire, it's letting go of the fear, the desperation, the obsession, the old story, and the old assumptions that you would tell yourself, and the old identity in general that just keeps creating the same identity or the same reality. I would love to hear your thoughts on this in the comments, because I do think letting go is so misunderstood, and it can be very confusing because people say you need to let go, but you also need to persist. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want a video on how to persist while also detaching in manifestation, if you want tips on the law of assumption, creating your desired life in general, definitely subscribe, because I have so much more videos to come. See you in the next one.